And we have returned. This is the Ryan Show FM, and we are sitting here with some greats, Hamptons Dave, some living legends that are right in front of us here on the StreamYard link. If you're watching on YouTube, remember that this audio can be listened to at a later date via the radio, broadcasting all over the country. This is the Ryan Show FM, and our next guest really needs no introduction. If you are a fan of hip hop, then you know this man.
Legend.
And you know the music that his mind was behind. Just monumental, influencing not just people over on the West Coast, but even in our small, quaint Hamptons Dave, we were influenced by the N.W.A. as well. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the one and only DJ Yella, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, pioneer, overall musical mastermind, is here on the radio program. I know I can tell he's a humble man, but he's done so much that we just have to give him the right introduction. On a book tour, nonetheless, a man that's written his own book. So yes, let's give a proper round of applause. We'll add the audio in the later date. Welcome.
Welcome to the show.
Straight Outta Compton, 33-year anniversary. I mean, when you guys were creating this masterpiece, Yella, did you have any idea the drastic changes that would be made to music in general?
Nah. And that's how it did so well, because we didn't even think of gold or nothing like that. Just sell a few records, make a couple of bucks. That's all the thought was. But we was just doing, at the time, what we loved was our music. Yep. And we didn't care what people say. We just did it. If they like it, cool. If they don't, still cool. But yeah, we had no idea we'd be talking about this 30
I was going to say timeless hits. Timeless. Like legit timeless. Crazy.
And it's not just, the message behind the tracks, but it's the production as well. I mean, just incredible. And, before we get started on like the actual questions, you actually technically co-produced the entire album, correct?
Oh yeah. All most of the Ruthless stuff. A lot of the Ruthless stuff. Oh yeah. We did it. Me and Dre started way before then in the Wrecking Crew, so we did it for a while, and we just kept on going and kept doing it.
How long you know Dre for? You guys go way back, right?
Yeah. It was quite a while. Not as kids or anything like that, but it was in the Wrecking Crew days when I was a DJ that I met him. I was in the Wrecking Crew like 2 years, around 2 years before Dre was even around and stuff. Then he came around, and then we hit it off instantly and been buddies ever since.
How did he become a part of the Wrecking Crew?
It was a more like a battle. Somebody brought him up there to challenge me. At the time, I was the hottest DJ in LA. So I'm like, you bringing this little skinny kid to challenge me? Do he know who I am? Now, we had fun about it, but that's how we met, though. We never battled or anything, but that's how we met.
Insane. And to think, I mean, once again, we'll get into, the Wrecking Crew, because there's so many questions I have. It's just such a monumental group that I feel like because of what N.W.A. did and what everybody did in their solo careers, it kind of gets like overshadowed. But that was a real movement that was going on well before N.W.A.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's where it all started, being just DJs. Then we started doing music, and it just took off from there. We didn't plan on it, but it did.
And it's you see the pictures of you guys in the flashy outfits, and I mean, I could only imagine what those live shows were like. I know we all roast, people were making jokes about it, but it was for the women back then. Yeah. And if you're familiar with the music and the style of what people were wearing, you guys were looking fly as hell. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it was just for the women, it wasn't for the guys. We made love songs and all that kind of stuff. So we was after the women, not the money. It was the women.
The women.
I know I was.
Yeah. Still I'm after.
And yeah, once again, that was like music that was like catered towards getting those women, and you had some skills back then too. Like even in some, you were getting on the mic, which I feel like a lot of people don't realize is your solo work. Today I sat and I listened to the entire solo album that you put out in tribute to Eazy-e after he passed. And I always knew that you could produce, but I mean, you could do it all.
Yeah, I just, that album, it came from the heart. It wasn't coming out as a trying to make a hit record or nothing. I just at the time it was like 1 year after he passed, and when he passed, I had already said I wasn't doing music again. Till somebody came along and said, "Here's 6 figures. You want to make this?"
Yeah.
I'm not an artist, but okay, I'll do it.
And that's let's take it back to Straight Outta Compton, because once again, we can't just glaze over 33-year anniversary. It spawned a hit movie, but most important, it really did change hip hop.
Oh,
and
yeah.
When you look at this term, this is something that kind of disappeared. The term gangster rap. I was thinking about that today as I was doing all this research and putting this together. The term gangster rap, I mean, did it evolve? Did it even exist at all? Or was this just something that the media coined?
I think it was just to us, it was just ghetto music. Where are we from? We from Compton. Compton is in every city, every state, different names and stuff. But the media, I don't know who it was. It just labeled us as the gangster, gangster music. Like, and it just stuck with us. And it just turned out to be, it's kind of like a style, really. The look, the black, it's just nothing we try to start. Nothing. That's just how we dress at that time.
And we talk about the music being a movement. I think we all know which song was probably the most controversial at the time on that album. And it's something that we all think. The greatest comedians are able to take what we all think, the greatest thinkers, really, and put it into words. And it's just so simple. F the police. Yep. I think that everybody, no matter who we are or where we've lived, we both felt that at some point, right?
It rings now more than ever. I mean, it's right back in the forefront.
I mean, because you think about it, we didn't invent the song.
Yeah.
It was already created years before us in the 50s and the 60s or whenever it was. Police been like that forever. And all we did was say something that everybody wanted to say to a cop. Back then, you didn't say that to no cop. You would be all on the ground and all tangled up. But nowadays, they in their face saying it. So, but back then, a lot of people wanted to say that after getting jacked for no reason, and you just wanted to point the finger. But back in them days, nah, you didn't do that.
And you guys must have known what you were doing. Actually, I heard Dre was against it at first because he had some type of court visitations. He had to spend weekends in due to some issues or whatever. So you guys were somewhat calculated in the release of it because, I mean, there was just nobody saying anything like that. Yeah, every time we get pulled over, I'm sure it's the first thing that you say when you're sitting at the family table when you're, recapping a story. I'm sure that we all utter those words. But to get on a record and say that, it's just revolutionary.
Yeah, that was somebody had some balls to do that.
and then to perform it too, to go out and.
Well, we never performed the song.
Technically, that's right. So what were the stipulations exactly? You weren't allowed to perform the song. How did that work?
Well, for the tour, the first problem was getting insurance for the buildings.
Yeah.
And once we put on, it was supposed to be Salt and Pepper, Kwame, and Kid and Play, all these to soften up the bill.
I was gonna say,
so we can get in the building. And then once we did the tour, but the deal was do not do that one song on no shows. So we didn't do it. When we did it in Detroit, we did a half a verse.
Yeah,
that was it. They ran us off the stage after that. Now, I mean, they didn't arrest us or nothing, but they ran us off the stage, and I ran all the way back to the hotel. So they caught us in the elevator.
Did you ever have any experiences with actual police officers? Like, come on, man, you made life a little more difficult for me. Or did any of them understand?
Yeah. I mean, living in Compton, you run in all the time back then, just for nothing. If you just in front of the studio where we made the song and all the hits, we just standing out there because we was in a city called Torrance, and this color don't go out at night in Torrance. That's just the way it is. And we were standing in front of the studio, young guys looking like a gang. And
that's in the movie, right? That's one of the scenes in the movie, right?
Well, we didn't do the song right after it, but we have been jacked in front of the studio a couple of times. But after a couple of times, they didn't mess with us no more. So, but the police just been like that all the time.
Yep.
It's not changed at all. I mean, things get a little bit better, but I mean, can you draw comparisons? Like even when you look at the LA riots, I'm not saying that N.W.A had anything to do with the LA riots, but I mean, it was one of the big momentum changers with people being able to stand up against authority. Do you see any comparisons when you look at these latest riots over the past year and a half?
I mean, what making them bigger is social media. Everybody's filming.
Everybody's got
live,
a camera. Yep.
So it just gets around fast. But the people finally stood up, and I was surprised. I mean, it wasn't just black; it was every color out there. It was more of them than of us. So times have changed, and I told people this years ago. I said they have to arrest a cop, give him 100 years, 99 years, something to start to fix it a little bit. So they get, they got one. They got to get quite a few more, because
he should have got some more years too, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, it's so corrupted. It ain't all the cops. That's the key thing. It ain't all the cops. There's always the bad apples, and that's in anything. There's always a few.
But unfortunately, they can arrest us and ruin our lives. Literally,
ruin your night at least.
Crazy. So you mentioned the tour, and from what I've heard, the N.W.A. Straight Outta Compton tour was one of the historically off-the-chain, absurd tours in the history of music. I mean, if there was one memory that stands out about that tour, what would it be?
Quite a bit. I know one thing. They thought we would have fights every night. So no fights ever happened on the tour. And that was unheard of by itself. Then it's amazing. I mean, which way do I think?
I know what you're asking. You just hear all these stories about the women on these tours. Like, you guys were not just making music that was to get people hyped up, but a lot of it was for the women.
I was going to say, fans of the show know where I'm going. My thought is, what was it like? There had to be some things on that tour.
Oh, yeah. Every night. A different book every night.
Yeah. God bless those women.
Sometimes you have two books. Double header.
That's great.
Good thing there's no Instagram then.
Yes. Oh my God. Like, would you even be able to pull it off? Like, what do rap stars and rock stars do on tour these days with camera phones on everybody?
Yeah, they got to be very cautious.
You better sign this non-disclosure.
Yeah.
I'm walking around with a contract.
Search them or something. You got to do something. You can't even search them. You've been gotten me too.
I know, right?
So I don't know what they do these days. I mean, I DJ around the world, but I'm solo, so I go in my room, lock away, show. That's it. But these days, there's too many cameras, too many. He did this. Nah, you can have all that,
and they'll get some money out of you too.
Yeah,
those civil lawsuits are painful.
Yeah, because the key is most people just pay to get it over with.
Exactly, and then it makes them look bad.
Yep.
Just to get the headache over with.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. And back then, tours was fun. I mean, it was work. 40 shows, 40. It was work, but there was a way. It was more fans. It's just a different time. It was a golden era.
Yep.
That a lot of people didn't get to see.
And what was it like going to the East Coast? Because from what I hear back then, there weren't a lot of West Coast artists touring on the East Coast.
Zero. We was the first to get into New York. We went to the Apollo, and I think we did two songs, and they was looking at us like they didn't boo us, but they sure didn't clap for it.
Yeah.
It was like,
but I mean, at the Apollo at that time, you're not getting booed. That's almost like a standing ovation.
But it's amazing that we broke into that. Once we broke in, then they started letting them in. Because New York, it was all New York. It wasn't no outsiders, no nothing. I mean, nowhere. We kind of just broke the door a little bit and got in there, and they end up liking us.
Being from the West Coast production-wise, and you and Dre coming up with that sound, like revolutionizing really the sound of West Coast hip-hop, how much was influenced from East Coast hip-hop? I used to work with Eric Sermon. Cheeks and I and Dave, we used to go to Eric's studio, and we saw pictures up on his wall of Eazy-e with EPMD back then. Yeah, and I never got the full story, so I figured I'd ask, what were the connections like to the East Coast guys like EPMD back then?
I mean, I didn't know any of them, tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, their music was cool. I mean, I like their music. I liked it. Because back then, you hear a song and you know what group it came from.
Yep.
It wasn't 90 people doing the same song, sounding the same producer. It was all separate. And we, in our early days, we bit off the East Coast. Definitely. Run DMC, all of them. We bit a little bit, and then we finally got our own style.
Your own sound, yep.
Boom. Never look back.
And it's, timeless. And, we talked about you co-producing with Dre. There were people that look back and recall you two being in studio, working together, not even having to speak to each other, and just being able to put these masterpieces together. What was it like, the chemistry between you two?
It was like the Jedi mind trick we had. We just knew. I'd be on the board, he'd be on the machine program, and I know, okay, let me go over there and program everything. Let me put it in sequence. And it was just, we didn't have to talk very much. We just knew it. This is what we're going to do. We knew it. I might go over there. Okay, here go the record. This is one we need to, we were just in sync. We was the dynamic duo, Batman and Robin in them days.
Who was Batman?
When it was only like 4 years. That's all it was.
And that's what's crazy to me. Not to jump too far ahead here.
Yeah.
But when Dre left N.W.A, you would think that, the history that you guys had that you would have gone with Dre. I mean, were there any talks about you maybe leaving N.W.A or joining Death Row?
Well, if you read the book, you would know. He asked me, he told me when he was leaving, but it was early in the morning. And I said, he asked me, he said, he said, I'm gone. Are you coming? And at that time, I did not know what he was talking about. So I didn't answer him. I finally gave him an answer in 2019. It took that long for an answer. Because I would think about it. I'm good with Dre. I'm good with Eazy. I mean, I have no problems. I should have went with Dre. But then in 2019, Dre said, I'm kind of glad you didn't come, with all the whatever he had to go through. So I was just caught in the middle. I didn't answer. I didn't pick to stay with E. I didn't do that. I just didn't answer. And I just got caught in the middle. But, it was what it was.
I mean, you went out to produce some classics, though, with Ruthless and eazy-e. Before we get into a break, I want to tell you one story about a song that you produced with eazy-e. And this is my first real hip-hop memory. I was a very wee boy. I was only in 4th grade. And I was with my cousin who was driving me around the Bridgehampton Commons. The Bridgehampton Commons is this little shopping center out in the Hamptons. And there were all these people walking around. And my cousin, he's probably like 16, 17 years old. He puts on Gimme That Nut at full volume. Full volume. And I remember sitting there just laughing harder than I had ever laughed. I'd never heard anything like that before. And then today, as I'm doing the research, I read that you are the one that produced that song. And I just wanted to thank you for that amazing memory. Definitely helped shape me in 4th grade quite a bit. Classic track.
Wow. I forgot all about that song. I can't believe I did that. That was just something fun to do. It was just, but we always had some kind of crazy song in between. Automobile.
That was such a good song, Automobile.
Totally something odd. It just, wow, give me that nut. I ain't heard, wow. That was a fun song right there.
Hilarious. One of the funniest. Now, who was it that helped? Because I don't, from what I've read, eazy-e wasn't necessarily writing his own stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like, who was it in studio? Did you help write the words to that? Because I mean, classic lyrics in that too.
He kind of wrote that one a lot. He kind of did that one. I remember us doing it. Yeah, I remember him sitting down, trying to come up with the words, and yeah, that's wow. I got to go listen to that one. That was a good one.
We've got DJ Yella in studio. We're going to go to a very quick break, play some music of DJ Yella, come back, talk a little bit more, get into some classics, get into this new book. Once again, you guys have to go out and buy this autobiography. Yes. Nobody writes their own books these days. Man, I don't know if I've written anything since I paid a nerd to do it for me in college. So we're going to get into all this.
Shout out to that nerd.
Shout out to that nerd. Yes, this is the Ryan Show FM, and we We'll be back. Honky wonky. Let's go. Classic N.W.A. music. It is timeless. We don't care who you are or where you're from. Music is supposed to bring out a certain feeling in you, and that is exactly what N.W.A. never fails to do. Especially those first 3 albums that we just have on repeat here on this program. DJ Yella in studio with us right now. And Yella, you know, you mentioned an album that is one of my favorites, My Automobile.
Yeah.
Classic album with Eazy-E singing.
Just
funny
singing,
overall, just good energy.
I played the drums on that one.
So that was you on the drums. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, man. One of the greatest on that album. I believe that was the second N.W.A. album. I'm not allowed to say the name, but yeah, we all know the second.
We only had 2 albums.
Wait.
The third one, that Priority, it was just a compilation. That was old. N.W.A. only got 2 albums and 1 EP. That's it.
So the EP was a compilation of songs that were just not put out. You guys had broken up.
The EP was the 100 Miles and Running EP.
Yeah.
And then the other one was N.W.A. and the Posse. It was an album, but it was a compilation. It just Priority did it in between. They needed a record from us.
Yeah.
So they just took it from Macola Records and put it out again, and it went gold.
Wow. So classic, which is a great song. But My Automobile, I was looking, and you know that's a Parliament song, right? Originally, you guys changed the words around.
Yeah.
So did you have to go through some hoops and ladders in order to get that sample cleared?
We didn't play. We didn't use the sample. We played it.
So that technically you don't even have to like.
Well,
was George Clinton involved in any way? Because I saw he was on the production credits. That's why
we still owe because we replayed his music, but we just didn't use the original music. It costs less if you don't use the sample. Because back in the
take notes out there.
We did our Straight Outta Compton. We was the poster kids for samples. They came and got us. You know, all these records. You know, pieces of records and. Oh my God!
Oh no! What a headache!
Day.
Express yourself.
Yeah. I mean, well, we got permission to use that, but that. Wow,
but I know that's
all about that song, man.
Yeah, that's one of the greatest joints right there.
Because that was Dre's really first solo on N.W.A. He only rapped on that song and then the last song. That was it for that album. And then when Cube left, that space had to be taken. So he stepped up and started rapping.
Now that's Eazy-E's uncle, is it? I always remember thinking that when I was a kid, because wasn't it Charles Wright that made that? So who was it that
no,
the
that
original?
Ain't his uncle.
Just that didn't have the same last name. I know.
Yeah.
You never know. Easy way to
was,
clear the sample.
Yeah. I guess, you know, some of them was easy to get. You know, when they look at it like, we're going to make a bunch of money off it, so they're clear. But a lot of the samples, companies came and bought all them old records and stuff, except Parliament. George Clinton, he still got his. Sly Stone, they came and got us years. Well, matter of fact, Sly Stone had a major lawsuit against everybody from Michael Jackson on down. You know, he just got $5 million a couple of years ago for that. But we had one, I don't want to say the artist's name. He called us in the studio. The song She Swallowed It. It was originally a sample on it.
Yeah,
in the studio and didn't let us use it. He said his wife wouldn't do it. I couldn't believe it. I looked right at Dre when he was talking to him on the phone, and he said he wouldn't let us use it. So we had to replay it. And just he called us. I was surprised. This is a big time artist from the 70s.
He literally called you himself too.
Yep.
Man.
No secretary. Himself.
And that's in the book. If you want to see the name, that's in the book, right?
I don't think I put that in the book. Well, I forgot all about it. I forgot all about that story. It's so much I put in the book, I didn't get to it. Yeah, I didn't. If you can figure out what the sample was, then you know who it is.
You know who it is.
They
Fill in
named
the blank.
I think it was a star with an H. Double H.
That's all.
Maybe.
Fill in the blank. Do some Googling, everybody. Man, what a trip. So writing a book, that in general, like what is it that inspired you to write your own book about your life story and about the story of N.W.A?
I never wanted to write a book. I never even opened a novel I never read a novel. I did not at all. I remember during the pandemic, it took a year and a half. God said, write this book. This is your testimony. I'm like, and I just started from 4 or 5 years old and just all the way to 2020.
Wow.
And I was like,
Wow.
that came out of me. I mean, I remember details. And just, I'm like, wow. So I know it wasn't me that wrote it. I know who gave it to me to write it. And it was just my story so it can go around the world. It might help somebody. You know, I teach people about music, you know, about your paperwork, about lawyer, about production, artists, producer fees, you know, writers is 200%. It's not 100%. The music side, you know, the writer side, the word, it's so much in there.
Wow.
What I did, I kept calling myself in the book, you big dummy, you just did this, you know, kept doing it. No paperwork. You know, because think about this, N.W.A, we was making all these hits. We never even signed a contract.
Yeah.
Wild to
until
think.
we got on tour.
So who was it that said, you guys, where's all this money going?
We didn't. I mean, I had fun with money.
Yeah.
I mean, after the couple of albums, and then I started making my albums, you know, here it is. A young guy with $500,000 in his pocket with A1 credit.
Yeah.
What color do I need?
Yeah.
So I went through a lot. See, people don't really know. I was just homeless 8 years ago.
What?
For 3.5 years. Not on the street homeless.
Yeah.
Because not drugs, not alcohol. It was just having fun. Money. I didn't love money, but I like to buy stuff.
Yeah.
I like to just go
Don't
buy.
we
If
all?
I'm bored, I go buy a car. You know, I went through 50 cars and all kind of stuff. That's why I said the book has so much detail in it. It ain't just the group. It's before the group, after the group. It's everybody say it's a good read. I would know. I never read a book. So, but
Well, the people enjoy it online. All very, 5-star reviews. If you look on
What's the
Amazon.
name of your book? What's the name of your book, Yella?
Straight Outta Compton, My Untold Story.
Definitely.
On Amazon.
Yeah.
It's all day long.
Definitely.
They got it on the audio book.
I haven't done an audiobook yet. Drake said I should do an audiobook.
Yeah.
I might.
Yeah.
It's different, but I might do one.
Reading is not my best trait.
Well, it got the ebook, but
Yeah.
I thought the ebook read the stories. I guess I don't know. I don't read books. So.
Give me a girl that can read.
Yeah. Then we know he really won't listen to it. Oh man. So yeah, that's what an accomplishment to be able to put a book together and wrap everything up. And I remember
even
being a
to be
kid
able
and
to be able to drop knowledge, on people,
yes,
coming up
it's like a
you
resource
said.
book.
Yeah.
It's not
Like,
just your story, it's teaching people
You've
how
been
to
through it
move in
all.
this
Why
industry.
not?
Yeah.
Why
Don't
not
do this. Don't do that.
Yeah.
First thing, lawyer.
Yep.
And I tell people about our manager. I didn't name him by name. I call him Mr. Manager in the book. People think, oh, was he good? Was he bad? I put it like this. He was getting 20% from the group. That's cool. But he was also getting 20% from the label. That
Double
ain't
dipping.
cool.
Yeah.
So
it's especially when you're supposed to
probably
be
was making more than us.
that's crazy. You're supposed to be a
So
team.
you gotta know your stuff. I mean,
Yep.
we was young, dumb, just talented and just rolling, and we didn't know all this technical stuff and all this. We knew the music, we had to figure it out. But the paperwork and stuff, it took years for everybody to finally get it.
Right.
Cube was the first to get it. That's why he left. But Cube had to leave in order to get big. Dre had to leave in order to get big. The group had to break up. Think about this.
It's true.
How many groups break up at number one?
Yep.
We shipped gold, which was unheard of back then. We was number one on Billboard, and then the group was over. Everybody breaks up after everything fell off, but we had to break up. We just had to for some reason.
It was meant to be.
Oh yeah.
I read that eazy-e spent $5,000 to create Straight Outta Compton, which then in return made $22 million. Does that sound about right?
I have no idea.
Just crazy to still that's out there. $5,000 to make, and it reaped in $22 million.
I don't
know if that's true, but that's what they're saying out there. If you do the
I wouldn't. I mean, the company,
yeah,
with all the hits after the DLC, Michelle A, JJ Fat, all these hits coming back to back to back to back. A lot of money back then, I don't know. I wasn't no accountant back then. So
yeah.
all we knew was studio. That was our world. Studio or live stage.
Let me get enough money to go party.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's all. We didn't think about no gold records. No
that's why I like
platinum, triple.
That's why just knowing me. If I was throwing a contract, I probably would have never read it. You give me this money if I sign here.
In the middle of the tour, they came with contracts. I remember there was a check for $75,000. I picked up the contract about that thick, turned it over, signed it. Okay, give me
that check.
I'm good.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money when you don't have it though.
What was in it?
Come on.
And Cube was the only one that didn't sign it. So
wow.
Yeah, that's just he was the first, but we signed ours and kept on going.
What was it like when Cube left the group after the first album?
What
did the group think?
Not too much.
The actual members, I should say, because it didn't seem like he had a problem with the actual members. Obviously, there were the beefs or whatever that came after, but during the breakup, it seemed like it was more of a money thing.
Yeah, it wasn't really. We didn't really think about it that much. It was more of the public thinking, "What are we gonna do now?"
Yeah.
One of the main voices, one third gone. So that's why we had to come out with 100 miles of running, and Dre moved into his spot. So we didn't think nothing bad. We didn't like, we're gonna get him. We didn't care about all that.
You guys really came into your sound too, that second album.
Yeah,
we're not going to talk about the crazy beefs. Don't worry, Yella. We're not here to get all these clickbait questions. We're here to talk about the good stuff. And you and Dre really came into your sound. Always Into Something is one of my favorite songs of all time.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up from the first stuff. A lot of the first stuff was samples and all that. We started getting away from the samples after they came after us, and we stayed away from the samples. Only sample that we really needed to get, and we can get clearance for. But we grew up even on 100 miles and run in for the, what the other in for life.
Yeah.
We really grew up on there. That's where we was adults, seemed like it, compared to the first stuff.
And just the whole transition, Straight Outta Compton was an amazing album, and it was put together really well. But track for track with the interludes, that second album was just crazy.
But the only thing is, the second album was better produced, better sounding, but the first one was still the classic. You can't replace it. That's the difference. Even the covers, that second album cover was better, but that classic where the guy landed on the ground and took the picture, you can't replace it. It just can't be topped.
We bring that up here. Let's pull that up while we're here. So
that's like one
Jack
of those.
of all trades. This is one of the classic images when you think of hip hop in general. I mean, what's the story behind this picture? That
was not supposed to be the cover. It was another picture of us in the alley walking that was really going to be the cover. The guy got on the ground and took about 5 or 6 pictures. That's all he took. That was it. And that picture laid around at Priority. And I remember one day going down Priority. I was the only one that go down there and hang out. And I said, wow, that looked like an album cover. And I didn't think nothing about it. Then later on, it was the album cover. That's how Arabian Prince got on the album cover. When this album came out, Arabian wasn't even around no more. He went back to being a solo artist. So Arabian got in on the early pictures. And then we took a bunch of pictures in one day or 2 days or something. And that's how that album came. The sticker on there, we was the poster child for that. They stamped it on us. We even, there's even Eazy-e album. In that album is a radio version of the whole album that we made. Oh, they was in Kmart's and stuff like that.
I know. That's right. I had it. No, I had it. I downloaded a few tracks accidentally.
Yeah.
Years ago.
That is rare.
I was going to say that was probably one of the first of that time to do that. I mean, my mom used to make me buy the edited when I was young.
I mean, a whole album?
Yeah.
That was... we did more work on that.
I was gonna say, yeah,
than doing the original, because it didn't take us long, because some of the tracks on there, a lot of the tracks was already songs already. We just pulled them off the little maxi singles, and we only made a few new ones on that album. It only took us a month to make the album, 30 days or less. It didn't take very long.
That's crazy. And now you mentioned Arabian Prince. Was he in the movie? Did they portray him in the Straight Outta Compton movie?
They had a character. You know something? No, they didn't. That was DJ Speed. They had a character for, because he had a hat said DJ Speed, but you never did really see him. He was just in the bunch. But because Arabian didn't go on tour with us or none of that stuff. By the time that album, because Arabian, the only song he had on there was Something to Dance To. That was from some old stuff,
which was hard. That was the last song, right, on the album.
Yeah, Panic Zone, to Something to Dance. You know, I hated them songs, but that was the last of the Wrecking Crew sound.
That's what I was gonna say. It's Wrecking Crew sound.
Yeah, that was the last. Well, really, because we did the JJ Fad album. That was our first gold record in single. Ruthless. People don't really understand it, but Arabian had found them girls first. But then me and Dre was the main producer, and he was there, and then that's how he got into this one. But he wasn't around for our album. He was on the earlier stuff.
Just curious, because I know he was on the album. You see him in the album cover.
Yeah.
But I didn't see him. So I just, who knows?
Yeah. That's why in the Hall of Fame, he's not in the Hall of Fame. It's just us, because he wasn't around on the actual album.
What was that like? Getting that phone call, finding out that you were being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Well, it took 4 years, because we was nominated 4 years in a row. And I didn't think we was going to get it the fourth time, because I think Janet Jackson was trying to be a nominee too. I said, we ain't going to get it. She going to win. I knew it right then. But then we got it after the movie, and it was like, wow, that's like the highest you can get in music.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was we were the 5th rap group.
Yep.
Which is, wow. I'm like, it's different. It was different. I mean, different. I remember after we got the award and we was all right there on stage, I said, let's take a selfie. You see that selfie I take for that 1 second, that one frame, it was like 1989.
Yep.
There was no lawyers, no managers, no nothing. It was just us. And you see the smiles, and they was all genuine smiles for that split second. So 2 weeks later, we end up doing Coachella. All 4 of us together. First time in 30 years. So that was a time, that was a time capsule I can keep right there. That was fun.
For us fans, it was fun to see. Especially that picture that you mentioned.
Yeah. It just like, I took 2 pictures, just boom, boom, and that was it. And it was just something.
Love.
Wow.
So much history. And we're going to get to a quick break, play some more classic N.W.A. music. We're going to play some solo DJ Yella, which I'm not sure we've done yet on this program. Don't make that face. It's fire. Come on. We'll be vibing out. I was sitting there vibing today, listening to it. I made a story and everything.
Got joints, baby. You got joints.
This is the Ryan Show FM. Mr. Cheeks, Hamptons Dave, Ryan Verneuille in studio with the one, the only DJ Yella, and legend. We are back in 5, 4, 3, 2. And we have returned. Classic N.W.A. music. DJ Yella is in studio with us, and boy, are we lucky. Mr. Cheeks, how you holding up, brother man?
Yo, chilling, man. Good to talk with DJ Yella, man. I ain't never met the God, man. I love your music. I love everything about N.W.A. From like I said, man, from the West Coast, when y'all was rocking that black. We was over here, Lost Boys, rocking that militant shit. You know what I'm saying? Y'all put us on over there from over there. You know what I mean? So, man, mad respect, yo.
Facts. Oh, thank you.
I mean, they had the whole country. Everybody's a Raiders fan.
Think about football. Now everything got black.
Everything.
Right.
The Raiders.
I mean, not royalties from that.
Seriously. Where's the royalties on everyone? We're like crazy. So we mentioned earlier that you went and stayed, or say you stayed with Eazy-e. And when you see what a businessman he was, I could see it being a very easy decision at the time when you see what he did and what it created. So You also witnessed the evolution of Eazy-E as a musician, and from what I read, he wasn't even a rapper to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, he was no kind of rapper, none. I mean, that wasn't his thing. Being him was
energy,
yeah. And
the whole vibe.
Me and Dre had to literally put a piece of tape across the whole board. Every take we do on his words, we put a little check. By the end of the verse, not the song, end of the verse is filled up because we punched him every line, definitely. Every line. But when the DLC came around, DLC had a totally different flow. We can get more out of his rap because he liked the DLC style. And he for some reason, he can say his rap much easier. I mean, because DLC was a cold writer.
So DLC was writing for Eazy-E, and that was when it was easy for him. Okay.
Oh yeah, it's a bunch. He even wrote on JJ Fad album.
Wow.
You know, he wrote some on Eazy's first. You know, Doc is a great writer. Great writer, had skills. I mean, he was tough.
Eazy Does It came out what, a month or two after Straight Outta Compton? How involved were the N.W.A in creating Eazy's first solo album?
Well, actually, Eazy's album came out before Straight Outta Compton.
So it did. Okay. Yeah, so it came out like right before they were right.
Ours. Yeah, I think. No, I might have went gold before ours too.
Okay.
But that was really an N.W.A album. So I don't know who it was that came up and said, because if you look at Eazy's album, it's an N.W.A album with everybody on it. And somebody just said, let's just be two groups. The same people, you know, let's double the money. So that's what we did. We made his album, and his album did great. I liked his album. I still like his album. It was
some classics on it.
Yeah, it was ahead of its time. I mean, it was, then we made ours, and it just, nobody could stop us. We was the new Motown at that time.
Yeah.
Hits after hits. I mean, wow.
Yeah, that had to just be a crazy time. Just knowing. And it's everywhere. It wasn't just the West Coast. Like you said, you go out east and you get in love at the Apollo.
Yeah. I wouldn't call it
not
love.
Getting, but that's what I'm saying. Not getting booed off.
Yeah.
I mean, because the Apollo is famous for.
Oh yeah.
Get him out there. Get him out of this. Get him off the stage.
Yeah.
That is true. So you look at Eazy's first album, so many great songs, like Easier Said Than Done.
Yeah.
What was that like creating that track in studio?
That one was fun because it's coming off the Boys in the Hood. Easier Said Than Done. That was a little simpler because it was just a sample. I forgot who the sample was, but I like Easy Does It better than Easier Said Than Done. Or I like Still Talking better than all of them. So it's just, he had that flow, he had that sound, he had that look. People thought he was 15 years old rapping. And that's why the girls just went crazy. It's just like, because I think he said it so on one of the songs that he said it was 15. I said, man, quit lying. You ain't no 15.
Yo, are you serious?
They loved it. They ate it up.
Ryan still says he's 15.
Yeah, he looked it, but he's not. But that voice.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is insane. What a trip. Yeah, Eazy-E, one of you know, for any short person that is trying to not be like a little weirdo, what a great role model for us short people. Eazy-E. I remember growing my Jerry curls out. I still kind of have them a little bit. They're falling out in the front a little bit, as you see. But yeah, I used to have the Compton hat, Cheeks. I don't know if you know this. I used to walk around with the Compton hat, 10th grade. Yeah,
Forever.
Classic.
Wow.
Classic.
So yeah, man, Eazy-E, just what a great mind and a great businessman. To think that, like, you know, given his circumstances, that's what he ascended to, right? To leave the streets and then bring it into the music business and be such a natural. That's always what gets me. How he just applied, not even the knowledge of the streets. It seems like he had a lot of savvy. He was a very clever guy, is what it seemed.
I mean, it was he's just doing business, just on the street. You got to be sharp. You know, you can't let stuff go on. You got to be on your game. And then when we did the music, because we was mad, me and Dre was mad at him the first time. Island Records wanted us. They wanted N.W.A. and they had some money for us, but he held out because Island, he wanted the label with Ruthless on it. Island wanted to be Island and Ruthless, a little bitty name at the bottom. So he held out. That's what happened. He was bold enough to hold out and wait for somebody to come where it's all his label. And Priority came and did that. Priority name is small at the bottom.
Smart.
That's and that's how
that was a priority.
He was strong about it. He was like, no, I don't want to sign, so he ended up not a label deal, a distribution deal. That's kind of ahead of itself.
And his vision. So you gotta love the vision he had too for everybody. He put a whole, not just making he's gangster and all that, but he also he put other people on to your wealth and your situation. And I see him help a lot of people get to where they are too. So he definitely did a great job.
He held his ground and just like, no, I ain't going for the album deal. Album deal, you ain't got no control, no nothing. Right. Distribution deals, label deals, you got all control. So
let's go.
He was ahead of himself. Russell Simmons, the same thing. It was the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
Where did the name N.W.A come from?
It came from a group that I produced called Yomo and Marky. That's where N.W.A came from. Yomo came up with the name. I was like, I didn't know that until me, Dre, and Yomo was somewhere, this was before the movie came out. And Yomo told me, he said, remember I came up with the name? I'm like, you came up with it? I had no idea. I'm like, wow. Because in the beginning, we wouldn't say the whole name. We just say N.W.A. And then
that's how we have to say
other
it. Other
colors would come up and say, what does that mean? I said, you don't want to know what that means.
To me and Ryan, it's still always N.W.A.
Yeah, we was kind of like embarrassed to say it back then.
What's another classic group which doesn't get mentioned nearly enough is the H.W.A. Well, the Hoes with Attitude.
Yeah.
Love that.
They was around. I guess somebody else produced them. But we only did a couple of songs. I did a couple of songs or something.
My least favorite type of hoe.
Whatever I did, but they didn't get where they should have went.
I saw that I cracked up today when I saw that you were producing the HW. I didn't realize that either.
I mean, it's their rap. Well, I ain't gonna say nothing bad.
Of course.
It's the rapping,
Yeah. I think like Mary Jane Girls. You think Rick James, he created the Mary Jane Girls. Yeah. It seemed almost like an offshoot type situation.
But they didn't get it all the way right. I mean, it just didn't.
Yeah, well, they had an attitude.
They didn't.
Should have put them in the place a long time ago.
Because a lot of this music was done already. By the time it came to us, they had already did an album or something. So we got the leftovers. So we didn't get to do it right.
Oh man! Speaking of leftovers and all the fun on these tours, we didn't even get into some of the good stuff. I remember being a kid and reading on Wikipedia that you had a full-fledged career in the porn industry, that you had your own production. Which now, look, I mean, look at the money that's in there right now and how the industry's changed so much. I mean, do you see any type of return in the future to something like that, given the amount of money that's in that industry right now?
Nah, I'm good. I did it for 15 years. I made over 350 movies.
Wow.
And I'm just like, because I did it, I was in it right in the eazy-e day that Dre left and all that. But once he died, I said, I'm done with music. Okay, I'm going full for it. Then I started putting my name and my face on it. I wasn't in the scenes, but you might see it. And I filmed them, edited them, make music for it. I did everything. Take all the pictures. Because I jumped in it as producing records, like albums. That's what I did.
You gotta cast the girls.
Ooh, the girl. Nah, I didn't care about it. I jumped in it as money making.
So no, like good storylines. Like, do you have like a Godfather or like an Apocalypse Now of your line of work?
Wow, I forgot all about. Wow, 15 years. Yeah, I was 4 and 5 movies a month. I would just
Shout out to those women,
because I was the first one to put hip hop beats and stuff into that.
And then Bing Bing,
Snoop jumped in and did that like same type of thing right after.
5-6 years before Snoopy did the one.
The one, yep.
And he disappeared in it.
Yes.
I was in the trenches. Now, was there French benefits?
Yeah.
Of course.
So you were hands-on, no pun intended. Not in terms of like editing, directing, the whole night.
All that. I was right. You could be talking to the girl and nothing on, just talk. I was in it. Okay, hot free, turn this way. I was in it.
Yeah,
it's wild. Good stuff. And you look at the evolution of the industry, it might be hard to even get back into it and keep up because now the girls have it in their own hands. OnlyFans, right? It's kind of changed everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Once it went to internet in like 2008 or something, that's when I was done with it because it was started being everywhere for free. So that kind of killed it.
You got to end with the big DLS. He puts leases on his bitches.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I'm good. I just stopped. I just said, okay, I'm done with it. That was it.
Yeah, I was part of that problem. I was on LimeWire downloading all those. I was on Kazaa and Napster.
Wow.
Those are dangerous grounds, though.
Yeah.
It's dangerous to get the porn off those sites. Yeah, I've heard
I ruined a couple
stories.
computers.
Wow.
Yo, I heard a crazy ass story while we're on this note really quick. A dude that downloaded some porn, didn't realize what it was because it was on LimeWire. Turns out it was some crazy, really bad stuff and had it set so that you automatically upload whatever's in your computer for people to re-download. And he got hit with distributing all types of crazy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That was his excuse.
Big crime. You don't want to mess with the feds and all that.
No.
Underage.
All I'm trying to see is a big booty. Next thing you know.
It's your big booty that's being seen.
I mean, that business, you got to have your paperwork right. You got to have the releases. You got to make sure that ID is that person.
That is that ID. Yep.
So I filmed the ID with the girl holding it. So I ever went to court, I said, hey, this is what she gave me.
Smart. That's what they did on the sites. They verify.
Caught like that, where it be the girl's sister or whoever older and she younger. It just, you don't want to get caught up in all that.
No, not at all. It's the original Me Too.
Yeah.
Is it? I didn't see that on original Me Too. Man, so you mentioned what was it? We were just about. Damn, I had like such a good transition.
So you talk about women and Ryan gets all flustered.
I know. I get all nervous. I'll flush in the vase. Man, so real quick, let's get back to the book also, right? Because we want everybody to go and check it out. Straight Outta Compton, the Untold Story. It's out now. Yella wrote it himself. And you mentioned no experience. Was there anything that was like too risque or too crazy that you left out that you thought was just too much for the book?
I left a few stuff out. I threw myself under the bus. I didn't throw nobody else under the bus.
Yeah.
I was like, no. I've seen stuff. I heard stuff. I said, no, I'll keep that to myself. I don't want to lose lifelong friends over $1 or whatever it is. I'm like, some stuff I keep that to my grave. I mean, so much I put in, but it was still a lot I left out.
Did you let all them know you were writing the book? Like, I'm gonna be writing this book.
Oh no, I didn't tell nobody. I just wrote it and just bam. They found out when I started posting pictures saying countdown. I started counting down pictures. Everybody Dre called me up and said, "Hey, congratulations on your album." I said, "Album? What album?" Oh, is he talking about my book? So yeah, I didn't tell nobody nothing. I just wrote it.
Nice. Hey, guess what? I just remembered that question. You mentioned don't get in trouble with the feds, right? You guys literally received. I know that we started talking about this a while ago. We're going to take it back to the Straight Outta Compton album. You received a letter from the FBI, and notoriously, the N.W.A was being investigated. Like, I mean, how did this all come together? Did you guys change anything that you were doing? What's the story behind all of that?
Well, we didn't change nothing. That was one of the best things happened to us besides MTV banning us on our first Straight Outta Compton video. That was great too. But yeah, the FBI sent us a letter, but then another FBI agency sent them a letter to tell them, that's all right. We can say what we want, so that's how it got squashed, but that made it just go up.
So wild to think that
bam.
the FBI got and treated you guys. Didn't they classify you guys as like some type of a gang or whatever?
I don't know. I mean, they never been outside my door, so I don't know.
Just wild to think over music. I mean, when you look at the music now, it's like really not even controversial compared to what's out there and what came out after the stuff of the 90s and 2000s. Like you guys were just like being rebellious. And that's what I find the most ironic part of it. It seemed like it was just a bunch of like uppity white people that were just offended to see some guys like just saying it how it was and talking about what was really going on, their real life experiences and things that they've seen.
I mean, think about it. When we opened our door back then, we talked about what we opened our door to. This is what we seen. This is what's in the ghetto. We didn't say we did all this, but this happened or it could happen. And think about it. People can relate because our door when we open is the ghetto, and you got ghettos all over the world. So it ain't nothing new. We didn't rap about Disneyland or the White House or this because we wasn't political. You know, Public Enemy was political.
Yeah,
we were just like underground reporters. Just this is what goes
telling you
on.
What we
this
see,
is what's happening.
And it was like there were points. It was hilarious too. Some of it was like genuinely funny concepts, and that's my favorite part about hip hop. Being younger, right? I didn't grow up in the hood. I didn't grow up around any of that type of stuff. So it was the comedy elements that originally brought me into hip hop, and N.W.A. really just overall, like, was there a lot of joking going on? Like, what was it like behind the scenes in terms of that? Like when you guys come up with funny sketches and some of the punchlines were just genuinely hilarious. Like what inspired some of that?
You know, something, it just being raw. That's all it was. It was just being raw. It just, we said what we wanted to say. Think about it. We used cuss words. They wasn't using cuss words back then.
Yeah.
From the police. Worldwide, everything around the world. That's international. Southside Jamaica, Queens, all the way to Compton. That shit is just, let's go. Fuck the police.
We just was just raw and just
raw.
It happened to catch.
Yeah.
It happened to catch.
Good times. And it's a good thing that it
would be boring without N.W.A. and hip hop.
That's right.
I mean, you could just see how important it was with the movie dropping. I mean, it was huge hit.
I mean, it was number one around the world. It was just
around the world.
I mean, I'd have been since the movie. I've been to 100 countries.
I mean, my mom watched it and loved it. My mom and dad, I come home, they're watching it.
Wow.
Like, mom and dad
tuned in, loving
Hamptons,
it.
I say.
Yeah, in the Hamptons. Yeah.
Wow.
How accurate was the movie? How authentic was that? The story?
I say 60 to 70% because you have to put all this stuff into 2 hours and 25 minutes. So a lot of the stuff in the movie was together, but a lot of it wasn't together. It was spaced out. You know, like the Detroit. I give you an example. You had to make it look Hollywood.
Yep.
For the excitement. We didn't get arrested. They ran us off the stage. We all went to the hotel. We grabbed our bags. We was finna go get on the tour buses to go right across to Canada. And they caught us in the elevator. And all they gave us was $150 citation. That was it.
Okay.
And some autographs.
Could you see the cops like when you were
arrested and thrown around? Nah.
Yeah. When you were on stage about to do the song, could you see the cops like gearing up, getting ready? Like,
you know something? I didn't know the song was going to be played. Nobody knew it but Cube and Dre. I guess they discussed it earlier because I'm like,
were you DJing when it happened?
Dre was on the tables at the time.
Dre was okay.
I was on the side of the stage or somewhere on the stage, and as soon as that song played, I looked at him like, what the? And then he started doing his verse, and then we could see the cops actually took like M80s, firecrackers, and throwing them in the crowd to make it look like it was going crazy. Then they came toward us on the stage, and we just bam.
Wait a minute.
Down.
You said the police were throwing the firecrackers?
Oh yeah. That's who started it in there.
F the police.
They, I guess earlier or something, they, the Detroit police wanted to make a statement or something.
Yeah.
They better not do that song because we had never done it on tour. Matter of fact, to this day, we've never done that song until Coachella.
I bet now it would do better than ever.
Not even Coachella. It was me, Cube, and Ren did it. Dre didn't do that song. So, wow.
Man.
Yeah, but that's why we had a Hollywood rise, a lot of the stuff in the movie, just like the hospital scene where my character came in and was talking to E. when I came into the hospital, he was already in a coma, so I never got to talk to him. So they just had to change it up, make it look good for Hollywood.
Man, the loss of Eazy-E, tremendous for hip hop, tremendous for street savvy people in general. What do you think Eazy-E would say now, looking back? Like, just look at the history that's been made, the culture that's been created through this album 33 years later. How do you think he would react if he was alive today? Knowing his personality.
He'd be happy. He probably would be saying, "We started this gangster." I mean, this is what we did. I mean, we wasn't trying to do it. It just happened. And it's amazing that it's still being talked about 30 plus years later. I can't believe it. It's just amazing. And they made a movie about us. I'm like, us?
Timeless.
Really?
Timeless, man. Timeless.
Wow.
Timeless. DJ Yella, man. Timeless dude. Smooth dude. Man, listen, man. I ain't gonna get to talk to you since right now. I've been in the game since y'all motherfuckers influenced me to get in the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, man, it's good to talk to you. It's good to like, yo, let's do an album together. Nigga, give me 10 tracks. Give me some beats. I mean, you give me some tracks. I give you some bars, and we could go and eat.
That'd be crazy.
Just give me a little time, bro. Just give me the fall. Just give me the fall. Just 10 tracks. I sang it back and better bing bing bang. That's how it worked, though, right?
That's a dream collab right there. That'd be insane.
The connection right there. I want to throw that connection at you. If you need me for anything, I'm right there. And then Lost Woods.
Oh yeah.
That's a fact.
To think that you influence all these guys from all over. What's been the biggest surprise? I always wonder this too. I hear stories like, remember Cheeks? I had a guy DM me maybe about a year and a half, or maybe it's been like 4 years probably at this point. But DM me and they were like, tell me about a story about going to a Mr. Cheeks, a Lost Boys show that was happening in Africa. And he said that he biked like a day and a half to get there. And that there was literally like 1 million people at the show. Like
shout out to Transmedia.
Yeah, so you see, he remembers. So is there like a standout moment where you went somewhere else in the world and were like, wow, this is the reaction to the music that I made in California?
I mean,
from California.
Especially me DJing around the world. I mean, I was the first one to DJ in Vietnam, South Korea, in Korea. I mean, like, really? All these places. I mean, Bali, Sri Lanka, places I never even heard of. Whoa. I remember being in Australia on the festival out there and it just coming out and just all the people just like, wow. Because out the country, they love old school music. I don't care who it is. They want all 90s, 80s, 90s. That's all they want. They don't want this new stuff too much. It's the old school stuff. And it's just, man, it's just like, wow. I mean, I did more solo shows than the group. I've been to 100 more countries than the group. The group only went to London once. That's it.
That's how I go.
It's just amazing.
And that just shows the impact.
Man. Talent, man. Talk to, like, what Uncle Bob Marley say, man. You know, music's the only thing that hits you, but you feel no pain. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's about this.
Music is the only thing that has no color.
Exactly.
Music is just music. That's how I look at it. No color in there. It's just music. That's it.
Yeah. That's it. I'm with you, Yella. I mean, just what life is, music. Man. Like, there ain't no color, there ain't no Republicans, there ain't no Democrats. It's life, man. It's the world.
I mean, music brought this together. It's two white kids from the Hamptons, Cheeks from Southside, and you from, LA, all talking
music.
Yeah.
And I think that's a perfect way to end this wonderful appearance. Yella, thank you so much
for
coming on the show. Seriously, it is a true honor to have you here with us.
Bro.
And let's plug that book one more time.
We only got another half an hour. We can't talk about nothing.
I think we got to have another appearance, if anything. Yella, could we hold you to another appearance at some point in time?
It's easy to do. It's easy. I tell you what, you read the book, and then we do another.
That's it. We have homework, guys.
I'm gonna buy the book and I'm gonna post that shit tomorrow like this.
Does it have pictures?
Straight Outta Compton, My Untold Stories on Amazon.
I already got it, baby. I'm your fan. Also, you know, I'm glad we got you on the show, it's the Ryan Show. We've been doing this shit for over 5 years, man. You just making more than the icing on the cake with this shit.
Wow.
Word up.
I am blessed to be here.
Thank you for that.
We're blessed to have you.
Man.
Yep. Yeah.
That's
thank you for coming.
Seriously. So go check out the solo album. There's just a huge body of work. Go check out that vast collection of porn. I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I did my last 2 movies I did was called Straight Outta Compton in 2010, way before the movie was even thought of.
Damn.
That is amazing. Wait, is it like some type of a storyline centered around
my thing was me with a bunch of girls in the movie. I had like 15 girls in the movie. That was my goal. I like the more.
15 bottles on the table with booty shaking.
Yep.
That's my kind of porn, right? 50. That's just amazing. And what should I say? We got the little one out here running around. This is the Ryan Show FM. DJ Yella is here. Go check out that book, Straight Outta Compton, The Untold Story. Order it on Amazon. Order it on Google Books. That's what I'm gonna do, so I can read it tonight.
Tablet time.
Tablet time, baby. This is the Ryan Show FM. Mr. Cheeks, Hamptons Dave, and DJ Yella here. When we are back, we will have a starlet with us. Ironically enough, porn star Sarah Rusi will be joining us. She just entered the Zoom. This is the Ryan Show FM, and we will be back.
Okay.
Cooler ruler.